Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution. Each week we explore some of the greatest undertold stories of businesses and everyday people who are making their ultimate impact on the world through social mission. This is Social Mission Revolution, and this is your host, Andrea Putting. Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution, and my guest today is Emma Lawrence, and she's come to talk to us all about Kids Alive, Do the 5. Now, I have heard from a little bit about Kids Alive over the years, but this is exciting for me to be able to learn more about it and dive into it. And with having two small grandchildren, I know that this is an important topic for us to have a conversation about. So welcome, Emma.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to talk to you all things about swimming and water safety.
Fantastic. And I'd like to start with a question that I ask everybody. If there was just one thing for you to fight for, what would that be?
Oh, well, the Kids Alive Do the 5 program has got 5 steps that we want to promote all of the time, and you're asking about one. And I think the real thing that I love about and have enjoyed myself as a parent is teaching swimming. And I still teach swimming now to parents and young children, and I enjoyed so much taking my own children to swimming lesson. So I think if there was one thing that I would advocate for all the time and want to talk to about all the time, it would be about swimming lessons and learning to swim.
And it is a very important topic, especially in Australia, because people seem to gravitate to water everywhere. Although we are in the driest continent, we still gravitate to water when people want to swim.
Well, the thing is, most of our populations are living close to water. They're living on, close to the beach and things like that. But most things that we do as family and when we're having gatherings, we also want to go down to the beach. We want to go to the creek and have a picnic by the water. Even around Christmas, a lot of Christmases are spent around your backyard swimming pool, entertaining. So most things, look at Australia Day, people are wanting to have barbecues and picnics by the water. So a lot of our celebration and our family time is spent around the water as well.
Yes. I'm a bit of a strange one. I actually don't do water.
You don't like swimming? Do you like being beside the water?
Beside the water. Yes, I did ask my mother, why is it that my 3 other siblings all learned to swim and I didn't? And she said, you wouldn't go in the water.
You didn't want to go in the water.
No. Oh. So it was a real difficult thing for me to face when I had children of my own. Well, they really should learn to swim.
And what are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
So did you attend swimming lessons with them as babies, or was this something that you pursued as your children got older?
Well, I'm going to confess the guilty that they never really had much swimming lessons. However, my grandson is now an avid swimmer at 2 years old.
Yes, loves it.
I'm very proud of that.
Listen, I don't ever want anyone to feel guilty and say, I feel guilty I haven't taken my child to swimming lessons or formal learn to swim lessons, because I like to reassure parents that, yes, swimming lessons are great, and I believe in swimming lessons because I'm a swimming teacher, but I also believe in play and exploration and learning through regular exposure to the water. And a lot of children can learn to swim really well by just having that regular exposure to the water, whether it's them exploring in friends' pools, their grandparents' pools, by going to the beach or the creek. As long as it's done under strict adult supervision, where the parent or caregiver is there in a position to respond quickly, then that's fine too. There's all different ways that children can learn to swim. And I guess why I'm so passionate about it is because I think there's so many benefits to learning to swim. You've got your social interaction that you're having between the parents and the children in the class. The children are learning to follow instructions. They're learning to have fun and make good social connections. There's so many benefits. Obviously, it's physical activity for them to be physically active. So there's so many benefits, not only just for safety, but for general health and well-being as well. And what do we usually say? Swim for fun, fitness, health and safety.
Yes. And one of the things that I think is really good with my grandson is it's time he spends with his father.
Yeah.
My daughter's obviously she's not big on swimming either. But so her partner takes my grandson to the swimming pool and they enjoy that time together that they might not otherwise. So
exactly. It's a dedicated one-on-one time where you've got eye contact, you've got physical contact, you've got no other distractions. You can't look at your mobile phone or unpack the dishwasher, because when you're in the water with your child, you're completely engaged and completely present with them in that moment. And I think that's another beautiful thing about swimming together.
Yes. I remember hearing something recently, it must have been, well, we're into winter now, but over summer, how in a very short period that children had died from drowning in just about every imaginable way, even just falling into the dog's water.
So backyard swimming pools, they remain the number one location for drowning. Yeah. But there's a lot of other water hazards as well. And as you say, children can drown in very shallow water. So bathtubs, they're a big one. When the parent thinks that, I'll just leave the room for a minute, it only takes a minute. And the other thing to remember, it's that age group. We're talking the under 5 age group, but really a big proportion of those are toddlers from 1 to 2 years of age who are drowning. So we have to be particularly alert during that stage, and supervision is very important. But I understand that even the most loving parent cannot watch their child 24 hours a day. So it's about creating barriers and creating a safe space for your child to be and to explore, and making sure that you're regularly checking these water hazards to make sure that it's safe for your child when in your home.
Yes, very much. We're very aware of that as grandparents. You kind of get double phobia when you've got grandchildren, of making sure that the child is safe all the time.
And you know, you've also got the experience, but you've also got the time, because you're not having to juggle the other things. When you're minding grandchildren, you're there to be there with them for the full time, and you're not worried about, I've got to cook dinner, or I've got to put those clothes away that are sitting on the bench, and the dishwasher hasn't been unpacked, and all these different things that the parents are trying to juggle when they're raising their children. And, of course, along with their work commitments as well.
Yes, and it's a real juggle, yeah. I'd love you to share with us the story of where Kids Alive Do the 5 started from.
Right. So my father, Laurie Lawrence, he's an Olympic swimming coach, water safety advocate. I think probably a lot of your listeners would be familiar with him and would have seen him going crazy on TV. But basically,
I remember
after he gained notoriety from his swimming coaching, he was approached by the Queensland government at the time to help them put in mandatory pool fencing legislation. And that mandatory pool fencing legislation was very, very effective. Of course, at that time, backyard pools weren't fenced, and it wasn't in the legislation. So when that legislation came in, it became very effective for the drowning statistics. But what happened was, once the legislation came through, the government said to my dad, we don't need to promote this anymore because we've got the legislation through. But what happened was there was no education campaign running alongside the pool fencing legislation. And what happened was the drowning statistics went back up. So, of course, we know how important it is to have the education messages out there. Of course, pool fencing is essential, and it's a great life saver, but we need other elements as well. And that's when we put together the Kids Alive Do the 5 program, which his cousin Gail helped him come up with the idea. And it was fence the pool, shut the gate, teach your kids to swim, it's great. Supervise, watch your mate, and learn how to resuscitate as that last line of defence. And that's where the Kids Alive Do the 5 program was born out of. And initially it was a Queensland initiative, but actually in the year 2000, so over 20, it's funny to say now, but 21 years it's been a national initiative that we've run.
Yes, and I would think that it saved a lot of lives in that time of people having that knowledge and in their mind that, okay, we can't just put up a fence now. We have to think beyond that. That's not going to save our children, because they can easily, if they get over the fence, you turn your eye back for 5 seconds when they're in the pool.
Yeah. And it's silent. And this is what people have got to remember. You know, when you're teaching your child to ride a bike and they're going around the driveway or skateboarding and they fall off, they skin their knee, they hurt themselves, you hear them cry and you're running to them.
Yes.
But with a drowning incident, you don't hear anything. It's silent. And you don't realise how quickly it can happen. So you really need to be super vigilant, be in a position to respond quickly where necessary, and maintain that constant adult supervision. And like you say, you know, children will climb pool fences. They will have the physical capabilities to climb a pool fence. But once children have the physical capabilities of climbing a pool fence, their physical capabilities should be very good in the swimming lesson too, shouldn't they? So they should be able to pop up and get a breath. They should be able to roll over onto their back and float there, call out. So, you know, by the time they've got those things down, they're starting to understand a little bit more too. And this is why that pool fencing is so important during that birth to 2-year period, because it's stopping those little mobile crawling toddlers and those kids that are exploring getting into the water. Of course, the older children, they've got better water safety skills and better safety skills, but they're also better at following instructions. So you have said to them, you're not allowed to go in the pool without mum or dad. You're not allowed to swim without supervision, and they know that. And they'll reinforce these water safety skills with you. It's funny, even myself as a parent, I remember with my daughter Harper, I had taken her to a pool party, as we all do, and I had straightened my hair up. Of course, I had my swimmers on, but I dressed up for this party, and I thought, I'm not going to go swimming today because Harper's old enough, she's 3, she can swim anywhere. I can sit on the side of the pool and watch her and be there if necessary. But she said to me when we got there, I was sitting on the step, and she said to me, Mum, you've got to get in the pool and supervise me. You can't supervise me from up there. And of course, I've got in the pool with her because she knew, she was reinforcing it to me that she wanted me in the water with her. And of course, I hopped and enjoyed that moment with her.
Yes, it's interesting to see when they've picked up something at a very early age, that's the way it is. And it's kind of like I've been reinforcing to my grandson since he could walk. I live on a very quiet street and we have to go down to the park. I've reinforced it with him since he could walk at 11 months old that you do not walk on the road.
Yeah.
So now whenever he likes to just go down the road and ride his bike up and down and cross the road, but he will not cross the road without checking, stopping and making sure that grandma has checked with him that there's no cars, and puts up his hand to hold hands as we cross the road. So it's the same kind of thing. I've reinforced that so many times with him that's now cemented in him that that's what you do. And we just hope that in circumstances outside of my quiet little area that's what he's going to do. But that's just that reinforcement of those safety things right from the word go. It's incredible how much they make that difference. And how
And they do, and they understand. And you're not reinforcing that because you want him to cross the road by himself. You're not at this age. Of course, you're always going to be there, and you think that you're always going to be there. But by instilling that, it gives them a chance if something happens outside of your control.
Yeah.
You know, this is all about the education message. You want to give the children a chance, you know, fence the pool. Shut the gate. Make sure that gate's shut. Don't prop it open. Don't put a pot plant next to it that the kids can use to climb the gate. Teach your kids to swim. It's great because they love it and you'll love it too. Supervise. Be there to supervise. And in the very last instance, have that resuscitation skill because you never know when you might need to respond to an emergency situation. And that resuscitation, it saves lives.
Yes. One of the things that often concerns me when I see new estates being built and they put like a water feature or something, I'm thinking, there's no fencing there. You've got to fence your pool, but they've got these water areas right next to homes who are going to have children in them, which makes me think, well, you know, we've got to be thinking about children having those abilities to save themselves. I do know of a child who was 2 who did drown in a pool and then was brain damaged he survived and was brain damaged quite badly and survived for another year or so. And it was just horrendous to think of all of that potential of a life lost and heartache it caused. Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. And we know statistically that, you know, yes, okay, if we look at statistics from last year, there were 12 children who drowned in the under 5 age group. But for every one of those children, there's up to 8 others who have suffered a non-fatal drowning. So those statistics are very concerning as well because as parents, as grandparents, you can feel the heartbreak because it happens like that. It is so quick and it is silent. And like I said to you, even the most loving parent cannot watch their child 24/7. But if we're creating barriers, if we're educating children, if we're keeping water safety front of mind, we can save lives. And that's why we're trying to come up with new initiatives all the time to keep that water safety message there so that parents are thinking about it. Because, you know, we're busy people and it's not always front of mind. So we've got to keep it there through our Kids Alive campaigns and what we're doing.
Yes. So Kids Alive is now a program right throughout the country.
Yes, so it's a national initiative and we get funding from the Australian government. And many people would have heard and seen our catchy television ads with our jingle, fence the pool, shut the gate, teach your kids to swim, it's great. And Andrea, you're going to have to actually learn our song because you did confess to me that you didn't know the song. So you're going to have to get yourself on YouTube and look at the Kids Alive Do the 5 Water Safety channel and get to know that song to sing with your grandson. But one of our major initiatives is we've got a water safety book and it's called the Living with Water book. And that goes free to new parents in Australia via the bounty bag. So when you have your baby in hospital, you get what's called a little bounty bag.
Yes.
And within that bounty bag, there's little goodies. And our book is actually in there. And the book is a bit of a catalyst to prompt people to think about water safety. And it includes, you know, education messages about all different water hazards. And we know that we've had that book researched and by Professor Robin Jorgensen. So she is a university professor from Canberra University, and she's done research into that book. And what we found is that through reading that book, 72% of respondents were prompted to think about water safety and they've actually taken action. So from reading that book, over half of them have enrolled their children into swimming lessons. So that's pretty massive. 47% have actually read that book and then gone around their home to check for hazards. And 1 in 4 parents have been prompted to learn CPR. And so that is pretty big for us, because learning CPR costs it's a cost for parents. So people have gone through the trouble of actually learning CPR that way.
Yes, and I must upgrade my skills on that as well.
And don't be frightened. You know, any attempt at CPR is better than no attempt at all. And this is what paramedics are enforcing, CPR trainers are reinforcing to us. So don't be afraid to do the course. Anyone can perform CPR, and you never know when you might need it. It could be for, of course, a drowning incident, but there's all other circumstances where you may need to perform CPR, not only on a child, but on another adult.
Yes. Very true. So if parents are thinking, I really need to have my child learn to swim, where should they start?
Well, I think there's a number of things to consider. At our swim school, we take babies in the pool from 4 months of age, which is very young. And that's because we love it. It's a healthy activity. It's a bonding activity. And of course, they're not going to be swimming straight at 4 months of age. But like you say, by the time they're 2, they're very mobile in the water, popping up for a breath or rolling on their back, understanding that they don't go into the pool without mum or dad or a responsible adult to supervise them. So learning from an early age has many benefits. I think a lot of people don't start from an early age, and they may get a toddler or a 2-year-old who they think, oh, now want to teach them swimming. But what's happened in that time frame is that the child becomes scared of the water because mum has said, or dad said, or grandma said, don't go near that water, it's dangerous. You know, you're trying to be safe, but they've got a fear of the water. So that can be quite challenging for parents and caregivers who are trying to teach children to swim who have got that fear or, phobia of the water. So I think that's why I like to introduce children to the water, even just through play, by taking them to the pool for a play swim, exploring shallow water, all of those things during the early years to make them, be familiar with the water and confident and happy around the water. If you haven't taught your child to swim for an early age, I want to reassure you that that's fine, because they will learn through regular exploration. But it may be that you're going to have to commit to, say, a holiday program where you take your child every day to the pool, because going every day, they become relaxed, they get used to the environment, and at the start of the week, maybe they wouldn't put their face in, but by 5 days later, they're happy to submerge underwater. So you can learn to swim quickly if you haven't started early, but it just creates that little bit of time and that little bit of dedication to get those good results.
Yeah, so it's just being committed to doing that and to making sure that happens.
That's
and
right.
You are right, we can learn to swim at any age. I'm sure that if I had the impotence that someone could teach me how to swim even at my age.
I can guarantee you could learn to swim if you wanted to, if it's something that you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of parents that actually can't swim themselves, and before enrolling in swimming lessons with their child, they actually come to us and say, hey, I didn't learn to swim. I want to learn to swim first, and then I'm going to teach my child to swim. So that is not an unusual scenario for people to learn to swim prior to them taking their children to swimming lessons.
Yes. Often at school, I know that at school, when I was at school, when my children were at school, they'd have swimming lessons from time to time happening, which is great, but if you're someone who has not been a regular swimmer, then it's not quite enough, I don't think. I think we need to be more conscious of that. I like to say that my children learned to swim from an Olympic gold medalist.
Oh,
in equestrian. In equestrian.
Oh, in equestrian. I love it. But see, everyone loves swimming. Like this is the thing about swimming teachers. They're not just people that have been swimmers themselves. They're everyday people who love aquatic recreation, who want to teach swimming. So that's wonderful. I'm so pleased to hear that your children got taught by an Olympic equestrian.
Yes, because you say that and I think, oh, must have been some swimming gold medalist, but no, she rode horses. Anyway, so it really is. It's a really important message for us to be sharing in that. So, what is the next thing for Kids Alive?
So we've got lots of different initiatives that we try to incorporate over the course of the year to keep those different things front of mind. A really exciting project that I've been working on is our Kids Alive training hub. So we've put together lots of different resources for different community groups, whether it be library services, whether it be early childhood educators, whether it be school teachers, on how they can deliver water safety within their community. So we've put together, one of the really exciting ones is the Kids Alive stage show. So I find this really exciting because what has happened in our case studies is we've had different schools like Gin Gin and Blackall and Maryborough who have put together stage shows for the community on water safety using our music, our songs and our dances, because we've got all of these great songs and choreographies online, which you can go and have a look at. So what they've done is they've used the music and used the dances to put on live theatre for their community. And what they're doing is they're actually inviting the local childcare centres to come down and watch. They're inviting the younger school students to come and watch, and they're delivering these water safety education messages to their community. And I think it's got great buy-in from the community as a whole, because what happens is grandma wants to come and see because her granddaughter is playing Lifesaver Lil, and then they're talking about it when they go and up to the RSL to interact with their friends. They're telling them, hey, my granddaughter did this at school. And so it's getting a full buy-in from the full community. So I think the stage show training that we've got on the Kids Alive website has been fantastic. And also the library education that's happening as well. We've got a lot of libraries behind us who have come forward and said, hey, we can read these books during our storytime sessions, and we can give away these books and these education messages to children and their parents that are that under 5 age group. So that's been a really great way for us to get our message and spread it out into the community.
That's wonderful. That's good to hear that everyone is getting behind this message. And it's been good for me because, like I said, I'm not a swimmer, to just become more aware of the importance of swimming and water safety around my home, because my grandson is a little bit obsessed with water. And so I have to be constantly aware that if I turn my back, he's going to go into the bathroom and turn the tap on and splash water all over the...
They find water. They'll find a fish pond in your backyard if you've got it. If you're collecting water under the hose that you're going to put on your plants, they're going to find that. You know, they're attracted to water, they're drawn to water, and very shallow water can still pose a danger for children. So we've got to be vigilant. I want to teach people to love the water and respect the water, not be fearful of it. You know, I think that's really important. We want to love the water, we want to respect it, we want to enjoy it together as a family, because it's really great for inclusion as well, learning to swim. It's for all ages, for all abilities. I just love the water because I think it's a real equalizer, and it gives people the freedom to move and exercise. It's low impact. I just love it.
That's fantastic. So just any last advice that you'd like to share with us on swimming?
I think one question that I get quite a lot is learning to swim on a budget, and it's quite expensive for parents and these types of things, which I'm acutely aware of. So my advice to parents would be, if you can't afford weekly swimming lessons where you're going every week and doing it, that's okay. Find your public pool where you can go and have a play. playing, children learn through play and exploration. Holiday programs where you go every day for the week are a great way to reinforce swimming skills, and children will learn a lot over that period. So you may say, all right, during the school holidays, we're going to go for play, and I'm also going to do that holiday intensive that I've seen advertised. Also, winter swimming is great. Very often people only think of swimming during summer, but winter swimming is great because a lot in Australia, we're lucky that we've got lots of indoor heated pools now that we can access. And take your formal swimming lessons in summer, take your formal swimming lessons in winter, and then follow up with your water play and exploration during the summer, because there's so many opportunities to go to the beach or to go to the creek or go to friends' pools. And that way you're getting year-round swimming. So there are ways that you can do swimming on a budget. And I'm a real believer in year-round swimming, because just like us, if we're not going to the gym and keeping up our fitness, we lose it. And that's the same with the kids. If you're not taking them to the pool regularly, they will lose those skills. So don't just think once they've learnt and they'll know how to do it forever. It's something that you need to continue with and persevere. But play and exploration is great to go hand in hand with formal lessons as well.
Thank you. That is great advice, because I know that the budget does often dictate that we don't get the swimming lessons.
That's right. And just remember what the learn to swim principles are: breath control, submersion, floating. Once you can float, that's when you start to use your arms and your legs. That's your propulsion. So if you focus on floating, and then starting to use your arms and your legs, voila, you're swimming.
Fantastic. Easy. It's easy.
It's easy.
I'll have to believe you. I'll have to try it out.
I want you to. I would love to have a follow-up interview with you where you tell me about your journey of learning to swim and what you're doing now, and going on family holidays where you're enjoying swimming together with your grandkids.
Yeah, okay. Oh, thank you so much for coming along, Emma, and talking to us about Kids Alive Do the 5. It is such an important topic, and I really appreciate your time.
No worries. And if your listeners could follow us on our social pages, yes, that would be great. On Facebook, we're Kids Alive Do the 5. And then on Instagram, it's kids _alive. So we've got lots of tips up there all the time too.
Fantastic. And I'll put those links with the information for the podcast.
Thank you.
And that's all we have time for today. And I'll be back next time with another social mission revolutionist. This has been the Social Mission Revolution with Andrea Putting. Join me again next week when we'll speak to another social mission revolutionist who will inspire you on your journey to making your ultimate impact on the world.